Good afternoon, everybody. Stephanie Haney here. I have your latest update related to the COVID-19 coronavirus here in Ohio. The Ohio Department of Health has just released the updated numbers on confirmed positive cases of COVID-19 coronavirus here in Ohio, and I have those numbers for you now. These are the latest numbers from the Ohio Department of Health. We now have a total of 2,902 confirmed cases of COVID-19 coronavirus positive here in the state of Ohio. The number hospitalized has gone up to 802, with a total of 260 of those patients in the intensive care unit. Now, keep in mind, most of the people who have tested positive for coronavirus, you can tell by those numbers, they're actually not hospitalized. So 2,902 have been confirmed positive with a test, and 802 are hospitalized. So that's less than 1/3. So that's positive news there. Of those 802 who are positive and hospitalized, 260 of them are in the intensive care unit. The deaths have gone up to a total of 81 deaths now in the state of Ohio. And that age range remains at less than 1 year old to up to 99 years old for people who have tested positive for COVID-19 coronavirus here in Ohio. That median age is still 53 for positive tests, and the male-female split is still 49% male, 51% female for people who have tested positive for COVID-19 coronavirus here in Ohio. As we know, as has been expected, there has been a lot of economic loss related to shutdowns for COVID-19 coronavirus, which we need to do in order to stop the spread and flatten the curve and save as many lives as possible. We now know that Ohio restaurants lost $698 million in March. That was in the month of March alone. The Ohio Restaurant Association is estimating that 10% of Ohio's restaurants may in fact not reopen on the other side of this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. As many as 100,000 workers have lost their jobs. On average, restaurants reported a 45% decline in sales from March 1st through March 22nd, which, as we know, was to be expected. So as of right now, dine out and delivery is still considered an essential business here in the state of Ohio. If you are able to do it, it's not a bad idea if you'll be getting carry out anyway to support your local businesses and see if we can't help some of these folks out who are out of work for the most part. Here in Ohio, the Ohio National Guard is now taking a look at the state's medical capacity. Governor Mike DeWine has ordered the National Guard here in Ohio to expand their role by assessing the state's medical capacity and preparedness. So the National Guard will now be taking on that role. One of the things the National Guard will be doing is looking into possible locations to act as temporary hospitals. Ohio Department of Health Director Dr. Amy Acton said last week that they were considering multiple locations for these temporary hospitals here in the state of Ohio. One of those is the IX Center in Cleveland. Others include the Columbus and Dayton Convention Centers as other possible places that patients may need to go when space, the officials are saying not if, but when space becomes limited in our traditional hospitals. On the national stage, the Democratic National Convention has officially been postponed to August. It will now start the week of August 17th in Milwaukee. It was supposed to be July 13th through 16th in Milwaukee, so they've pushed it back just over a month now, still planning on having it in Milwaukee. It was just yesterday that Democratic president candidate Joe Biden said that he believed the party would need to push it back, and then today they did confirm that. The Republican convention is currently scheduled for 1 week later in Charlotte, North Carolina. For those of you who have just joined us, I'll give you the latest numbers from the Ohio Department of Health one more time. These are the most up-to-date numbers on the COVID-19 coronavirus here in Ohio. We now have a total of 2,902 confirmed positive cases of COVID-19 coronavirus. Now, keep in mind, Dr. Acton has told us repeatedly that these numbers and positives are not necessarily indicative. They're definitely not indicative of the number of cases in the state of Ohio. They are simply the number of cases that we do have the testing capacity and have tested for. So of those 2,902 cases, 802 people are hospitalized, and 260 of those people are in the intensive care unit. The number of deaths in Ohio has gone up to a total of 81 deaths at this time. That's the most up-to-date information from the Ohio Department of Health. Governor Mike DeWine will be beginning his press conference, and we do have that on Facebook for you as well as YouTube. We also have it on 3 News over the air, which you can access for free with a digital antenna or with your television subscription. And we'll be joining you in the rest of our broadcasts with the latest from that press conference, and we'll have that on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. I will see you at 5 o'clock on What's New. We'll have our other broadcasts, 6 p.m. What Matters Most, 7 p.m. Front Row, and 11 p.m. What's Next. And then I will see you here back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.